Good evening everyone and welcome along to FRL. We are here for Season 13, round number 20 of the Championship as we take in the Mexican Grand Prix from the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. My name is James, going to be taking to the stream as always on a Tuesday night, and joining me in the commentary box, it is FRL Charlie, fresh from his FRL F3 success last night. Charlie, how are you doing?
I'm feeling absolutely great and I cannot wait to see this race because I feel like this might, I think, in my opinion, this is going to be one of the best races of the season. Considering how close Barack and Jensen have been in these last couple of races, I think that them two are going to get very close with each other in this race. But to be honest, after having some experiences in Mexico racing with Baraka, he's not looked the best around here, so I don't know if he's going to be in my top 3 prediction today, to be honest.
Well, he hasn't looked as great, to be honest, in the last 4 races either. I mean, I'm looking at the standings now, and Baraka, he hasn't had a win since Russia. That was 5 rounds ago. Obviously, coming into tonight, that was 4 rounds ago. So, Baraka has really got the form completely gone off him. I think Jensen, the form was obviously with him more, you would imagine, but we'll look through the standings just to confirm things. Jensen out on top on 265 points, Baraka in second on 252 points, 13 points separating the championship battle going into tonight, and as you probably predicted, we will not have a champion here tonight in FRL F1, which is very good, unlike F2. Lou in third on 161 points, Christmas in fourth on 138 points, his first win of course in the QVR team last time out, and did pick up the fastest lap as well. Yona in 5th on 125 points, Nathan in 6th on 110, Zero in 7th on 108, Rocco in 8th on 102, Kazizel in 9th on 87, and MedTC or Hammerlinen in 10th on 72 points. Looks like we're going to get going a little bit early into qualifying, which is very good of course. The Mexican Grand Prix, of course, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez is the track in question. And Charlie, this is a track which I think is formidable to both drivers and commentators because it's something that everybody loves.
Yeah, it's definitely a race that I think everyone will love. And speaking of the championship standings, because Macho, of course, at QVR Christmas now, he's actually knocked out of the championship fight, I believe now, but FRL Lou, if he wants to stay in this championship fight, he needs to stay within 104 points, so, and that's the amount of points he's behind Jensen right now. So as long as he just gets, as long as he finishes ahead of Jensen and Baraka, he's still in that championship fight, but he's got to have a very good last 5 races this season if he wants to still win this title.
Yeah, he's got a whole... I've just done a bit of a calculation there myself. Christmas is 2 points outside of mathematical contention for the championship. He's 25 points will give him 163, which is still not enough. So he is obviously out of mathematical contention. As you say, Lou needs 104 points to try and stay within the championship. Basically, think of it this way. Lou needs to outscore Jensen by however many points to obviously take him into a 3-way battle for the championship going in, of course, in towards the Brazilian Grand Prix next week. But Jensen, of course, out on top, 265 points. Baraka in second on 252. Only 14 drivers here tonight in FRL F1, so there's not going to be that whole argument really of getting traffic on your lap in terms of qualifying, and I think Baraka and Jensen want to try and set their stone out first. You told me, by the way, that Baraka was setting mid-113s in pre-qualifying.
That wasn't Baraka, that was Lou, so Lou. You never know, Lou could look quite quick round here tonight, and you never know, he could possibly fight for the win and stay in the championship fight like I said, but Jensen's actually coming out of the garage, and I think Macho actually just came out ahead of him. But Jensen's actually going to come out on the mediums, which, to be honest, I think starting on the mediums is crucial around here, as the softs will go off quite quickly around here, as tire temperature is quite high, but by the looks of things, it's actually a bit cloudy, so is there maybe a chance of rain in qualifying and maybe even the race?
I wish I could tell you. We don't have access, of course, to the task system that I normally run for TTML F1, and that normally gives us a really good indicator of the weather forecast. What I would assume is if it's anything like what I was commentating on in Canada last week, obviously these conditions could be in 5 minutes' time going towards the intermediates, otherwise they're going to be going pretty much full sunshine for the whole of the entire session here in qualifying. But who knows, to be honest. They were the first man out on track along with Jensen. Jensen is following in the Finn slipstream. And Zero, he hasn't had things his own way, to be honest. He's been probably one of the unluckiest drivers of the season in terms of performance. He's 7th on 108 points, but he's still been quite consistent to remain within that top 10. How do you rate his performance coming into tonight?
I mean, I'd give him a good rating. He's been doing I'd say he's been doing quite decent in the first opening of the season, but after about halfway through the season, of course, he actually did miss out on Imola, which of course would make him lose quite a few points compared to the other drivers. But after that first half of the season, he's kind of dropped off the pace and he's dropped off consistency. But he's starting his lap now, and of course, you definitely need straight line speed around air, because in the race, if you haven't got the correct aero setup, you're going to lose a lot of time compared to everyone on those straights, just like I did last night actually, because I was running quite a high aero setup. Zero actually goes a bit wide there, but doesn't invalidate.
Well, he needs to, I think, back off that lap because he ran so far wide. He was off track limits there. 28.4 through the first sector from Zero, though. The Finn, of course, coming through the left-hander of 4 and then through the right-hander of turn 5. And then towards the interesting part of the circuit, this, of course, another Hermann Tilke designed section of the track. The track is not designed by Hermann Tilke per se, but now we come through the S section, and this really mirrors coming through the middle sector how you should get a lap here. And Zero's on the limit with the new runoff area to the left-hand side, and Zero backs off his lap because he's just invalidated through the left-hand curb of turn 10 and then through the right-hander curb there of turn 11. Jensen, I think, has just gone past him as well on his lap, and he's actually invalidated as well. So Jensen and Zero both finding trouble early on.
Yeah, that corner is going to catch out quite a few drivers there. I don't know where Jensen invalidated his, because he didn't actually invalidate in the same corner as Zero, but Macho's still got his lap valid at the moment, so maybe he can set a good lap to try and get in the 113s, hopefully, because I'm pretty sure Macho's actually been quite quick around there as well as Baraka and Lou. But he's going to be the first one to come around the final corner. Teal'c was actually the first one to come around the final corner, never mind that. There's a 115.8, which isn't the best left laps, but Macho does a 114.4, which is a good way to start off the qualifying session, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. So he's a second quicker as well as than Kachow, who's in third. Harmon there going into third, and now Mika second. 14.5. Yona getting caught on the inside curve, coming through the final corner. If he speared off any further to the right-hand side, he would have been in the pit wall and probably out of this session. So Yona did a very good job, as there's been a little bit of spin coming out the final corner, I think.
Yeah, Black's box crashed out the final corner. He's lost his whole front wing, so he's going to have to come into the pit lane now. But for some reason, Baraka's still in the pit lane.
I wonder if he's done the same thing there, Black Box, as what Yona did. Catching too much of the curb on the inside, sends the car basically off to the right, and I wonder if that's what he's done now, if he's just lost it at the final corner. Remains to be seen. Of course, Black Box, his first race in FRL on a wheel. He was on a pad previously, but his first run now on a wheel, and I believe it's his first run as well, running no assists, if I'm not mistaken, in that as well. Remembering that from TTML F1. Zero's on the lap, coming through the final corner as well. Coming through, I've totally forgot the corner name. I do memorise the corner names around here. 15.8 from Zero, he goes 9th. Rocco obviously on a lap as well, and he was actually showing purple in the first sector, was Rocco, so he's not looking too bad now coming to the S section.
Yeah, if he can keep the lap valid there, of course this there's and he's actually invalid as I speak, so never mind that. And Henry's actually retired, and I think he's retired in front of Rock. Yeah, he has actually.
I think he lost it coming through the S section on that curb where we saw Jensen invalidate. I think he's gone spearing off on the right-hand side where obviously the curb was, and then he's gone into the left-hand side of the wall and where the car is parked in the middle of the line. Henry's saying he had a lack of grip as well in the Discord server, as proven there. Rocco goes sideways and goes for full 180 going into the pit lane. So just comes to show this cloud cover, you spoke about it earlier on, this cloud cover is really causing drivers a few problems because they can't get their tyres up to temperature.
I mean, usually the track was made for getting your tyres up to temperature, but clearly not at the moment, as I think Jensen and Zero actually, I think they've ran out of fuel actually. But everyone's back in the pit lane. Jensen's currently the driver with the highest position on the mediums, P5, not a bad place to be on those mediums, of course, because it's going to be crucial to be on those. But if he actually gets on those softs, he could probably fight for power, because I think that the mediums are 1.3 seconds slower than the softs, I think.
Yeah, they are around here. If you find a time from a set of medium compounder tyres, they're around 1 to 1.2 seconds, I would say, inferior, the set of softs compared to the set of mediums. So we should be seeing Jensen, Yona and Zero, obviously if they choose to go onto a set of soft compounder tyres. You would imagine they would, because they're 5th position. Baraka, by the way, still not out of the pit lane just yet. There is no stewards reports out of last week, and there's no qualifying bans for everyone. So I think Baraka might be waiting till later on in the session. Otherwise, I wonder if he's thinking there's a chance chance of rain, and if it's not worth it going out, obviously with the low grip that there is, that drivers are showing out on track at the minute.
I mean, to be fair, Baraka does leave the garage quite late in these qualifying sessions, of course, as Teal'c's invalid his outlap, but that doesn't matter. But Baraka will probably get out of the garage before the 8-minute mark, I reckon, but Teal'c is going to start his lap, but Black Box, who's actually right behind him, he might want to slow down a little bit to build that gap against Teal'c, or else he's going to get a bit of dirty air, but he's going to get a lot of slipstream on the straight, of course.
Yeah, coming out through the final corner then, on the run toward the line here of the Mexican Grand Prix. 10 minutes to go still in qualifying. Christmas out on top, Mika in second, Harman in third. Hopefully Christmas has not come too early in terms of Christmas being on pole position or provisional pole at this stage. Rocco just getting out of the way to the right hand side there, coming out the pit lane. Teal'c then on the run down in towards turn 1. Beautifully rides the curve. He's got Jensen, I think, in front of him through turn 2 and through turn 3. Really negated somewhat on these the curbs on this game compared to the last game. And the Haas getting out of the way on the left hand side of Zero, and Hawks through the first sector. It's a 10th up, and it's a purple first sector out of everyone. So I don't think this is going to be a quick lap looking through the first sector. Now through the middle sector, coming through the double right of 6, and then in towards turn 7. Christmas currently out on top, Mika second, Harman in third, but Teal'c's looking quite good on this lap, as long as he doesn't invalidate through the section.
Now I will say, for you, you said you got a purple sector for Teal'c in sector 1, but I didn't get a purple sector. He was only a 10th up, which of course, well, now there's a purple second sector. I don't know if you've got that, but yep. I got that, and he was 6/10ths up. If he keeps this up, he can get ahead of Jensen and get into the top 5. If he can keep improving, he could maybe get into that top 3 even.
He could go between Harman and Denzo, I think, is where he might go. Hawk now to the line. Just call me Mystic James. T-Hawk goes 4th, in between Harman and Denzo. Denzo was on the lap just starting up as well. Baraka's still not out the pit lane. Lou around the final corner and on the run to the line. And he goes 2nd, 14.5. And that's on a fresh set of soft compound tyre. Christmas is out there on track as well. And I think he's actually just backed off his lap coming through the S section. He was a 10th up, but he is backed off his lap coming through the S section there, and he will not be improving. But with halfway through in qualifying, Christmas out on top, Lou in second, Mika in third, and Mika actually choosing to stay in the pit lane as well, which is quite interesting, as Kachow has crashed it through the S section.
Yeah, clearly he's done. I think he might have got caught on the sausage curve there.
Yep.
Actually, wait, there's no sausage curve, but I think he got caught on the curve there.
Oh!
Baraka!
That's Denzo! Denzo!
Oh yeah, that was Denzo actually, not Baraka. But Denzo got caught out a little bit there as well, as that area is going to catch out a lot of drivers, so you definitely need to make sure you don't get on the power too late, too early. You need to time it perfect, or you're going to lose a lot of time or even crash into the barriers.
Yeah, Jensen backing off coming through the S section as well. He backed off actually coming through the end of the first sector, so I wonder if he was actually struggling in terms of the tyre grip around here. It certainly seems to me, set of soft compounded tyres, the drivers are going on that set of soft, but a 1:14.4, currently the best time. I think you were saying earlier on, I think pole position in F3 last night was a 1:14 flat, so if that's anything to go by, obviously the conditions I think are playing a major factor in terms of the lap times we've seen.
I'll say this again, that was my time trial lap time. The pole lap in F3 was a 1:14.7.
1:14.7. Oh, so we are quicker then than the 14.7. See, I just listen to things that come into my brain, which I think is that part of the blame. I think for that. Christmas the lad on top, Lou in second, Mika in third. Just seeing if there's anybody else on a lap at this stage. Jensen, I think, is coming to the end of the first sector. He's got a car ahead of him out on track. It's one of the McLarens. I think it's Mika on an out lap, and Jensen actually through the first sector much better. 2/10 up, coming out in towards turn 5.
Yeah, 2/10 up. I think I would have expected him to be a bit more up on his time, but of course most of the sector is just straight line speed, so of course he won't gain as much time, but this is where he will gain all that time, and it's crucial to get that time, or your lap's not going to be as good as the old lap. He's down in P8 at the moment, as I think as the top 5 aren't spread out by a lot, to be honest. But I think Macho, by the way, we forgot to make our predictions again.
We have. I think it's too late to probably make our predictions now for qualifying. Jensen, however, I'm on board with this lap. He's going to go quickest if he's careful coming through the final corner. Denzo improved, but I think Jensen's going to go considerably quicker on the run to the line. 1:14.1 from Jensen, 3/10 quicker than Denzo, and that was a lap to behold. Watch that middle sector back. Go and watch that middle sector back on the stream if you are watching, because that is the best middle sector I think I've seen in Mexico in any league.
I mean, to be fair, if you also want to gain time on your lap, you can actually cut the first 2 corners a bit, and you could ride right against the curbs to cut the corner a bit. But of course, the second corner, there is the risk of actually invalidating your lap. Well, I don't know if Denzo, no, he's not on a lap, but I think Mika's actually the next one to be on a lap here.
He is. I think Mika is on a lap. He's coming through in towards the S section now. He's in the McLaren, of course, the AlphaTauri of Denzel behind him. I think Denzel just came off his lap, if I'm not mistaken. But Mika flying through the middle sector. That even looked better than Jensen's. And it's a 55.3. And he's pretty much around Jensen's middle sector as well. So Mika, the Dutchman now for the TFL team, he's coming through in towards the final couple of corners. And then through the baseball stadium, through the Ferro del Sol. And now coming through the final couple of corners at 16 and now at 17. And now running to the line, Mika goes quickest, 14 flat, and now Jensen has got a new contender to worry about in terms of pole position.
I mean, let's not forget that Jensen did invalidate his first lap, so of course he would technically be on a scrub set, so you never know. If he gets on a new set, he can maybe go another 10th or 2 quicker, but we're still waiting for Baraka to get out, but he's actually gone out now. I hope he's not holding up Zero, but I think Zero's on the out lap as well. But he's actually gone for the mediums, so maybe he wants to try and get in that top 10 on the mediums and start on that tyre.
I think he's going to start outside of the top 10. I think he'll start outside of the top 10, be on a much fresher set of tyres for the start of the race. And he's obviously, that bubble really is where Yona is, to be honest. 15.4, we're going to be seeing Black Box 0 possibly improve beyond that. So I would aim for Yona's 15.4. If Baraka is there in the top 10 on a set of mediums, he's got a considerable advantage over everyone else in the race. If not, I think what he's going to do is he's going to stay behind the top 10 and basically think that, to treat it like a last to first, where obviously Baraka will have the pace to try and run through the field.
I mean, to be fair, it will be a lot more easier to qualify top 10 on the mediums in this race, of course, since we only have 14 drivers. Plus, Kachow's out, and so is Henry, so those two can't battle for the top 10 position. So Baraka does have the chance to actually go into that top 10, start on the mediums, but of course, you never know, he might just be getting a lap in to try and get himself ahead of Henry at least, because,
wow.
Oh my.
I didn't even know he was on a lap.
Neither did I, but I told you he was in the 113s with Baraka in the practice lobby, but I think that's going to be pole position, to be honest.
That just caught me completely off guard. Luan on top, 13.7. Yes, I repeat, a 13.7. 3/10 ahead of Mika, 114 flat. I thought a 114 flat was going to be hard to beat around here, but I remember from the LOE days in this season in LOE, we had lap times in and around the mid 113s and even in toward the low 113s, like a 13.2 I think it was. So now we're seeing the real drivers begin to come to the fore. Luan on top, Mika in second, Jensen in third. I think Christmas is up in the first sector. He is purple, showing on my screen in the first sector, and now he's coming in towards the S section. He's really got to find something in this S section. A little bit of hesitation coming through there. Now flies to the S section. Herman Tilke design section of the track, of course, as now we come through the middle sector, and he ends up spinning the car, gets caught on the curb, and rear ends it into the wall, and he's out of the session.
Well, commentator's curse, maybe?
Yep.
And Baraka's actually invalidated his first lap. I think he's about to start another lap, and yeah, he will.
I'm just trying to see as well who might be on a lap. Yona is on a lap coming through the first sector. I think ahead of him is Black Box and an out lap. So Yona probably the next to come across the line. Of course, we have got yellow flags in that middle sector. And I think they've now gone as there are yellow flags going down towards turn 1. Yona, though, on a lap. Normally quite consistent in terms of qualifying. Certainly within TTML. He's took 2 out of the last 3 pole positions in TTML F2. And that was picture perfect coming through the middle sector. 55.4 in and around the 114 mark, I've got to be honest, in terms of this lap time so far. Showing as a purple sector. I don't think it's a purple sector, though, out of everyone. But Yona on the run toward the line through Peraltada at turn 16. And then to the right-hander, of course, at 17. Of course, Peraltada named after this section of the track, and it's a 114.2 from Yona. And I've got to be honest with Yona's lap time there. I'm slightly disappointed.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite surprised with the amount of lap times they're actually getting, because if you do look, the top 7 are all within a second, and even the drivers outside the top 10, they're still not even that far off, to be honest. And I'm quite surprised, Lou's extra touch, so maybe he's confident enough that they'll get in the lap time. But Baraka's actually about to finish up his lap, and he's going to go P10. Oof. He's barely got in, but Black Box is improving, so this will be crucial.
Yeah, Zabel's back into pit lane as well. I'm not sure if there is time for him to try and get out in for another lap. I don't think there is.
Black Box made a bit of a mistake there. That might have cost him a lot of time there.
Oh,
yeah, that's him out.
Completely unstable, I think, in terms of the setup coming through the middle sector, and that's what it is. You've got to try and negotiate that fine balance between speed and downforce around here. It's more of a downforce circuit than there's a speed setup. Beats a speed circuit, despite obviously there being one main back straight, and then obviously the main home straight, the start-finish straight. So that's why drivers have to try and get that balance, but Black Box now lost his front wing. I think he's going to be back in the pit lane, and that means I think Black Box is safe for top 10 because everyone else is at the session.
I think you mean Baraka, not Black Box.
Baraka, yeah.
First of all, and by the way, TFL Mika has actually improved by a 10th in the second sector. So if he can gain more time in the third sector, he's looking for pole, but at the moment is only looking for P2 for now.
He's way off, I think. I think Mika coming around the final corner on the run to the line. 113.8. I wouldn't say he's too far off, though. He did improve in that final sector, so good lap time by Mika. Yona back into the pit lane. Denzel's off a lap. Rocker was just started one. Harmon's invalid. T-Hawk, I think, has just came off one as well. Seeing him through the first sector. 200's down.
Rocco's on a lap, but he's actually improving a little bit, but is not really going to make that big of a difference for now. But if he can keep, he's on a new fresh set. If he can keep going, he can improve. Harm's retired. T-Hawk's a little bit down, but you never know. He can gain that time back if he can get a good second sector. But at the moment, I'm watching Rocco, and he was flying in the second sector there, as he's actually going to be. He didn't gain a lot of time compared to his first sector. Actually, I think he lost time instead.
That middle sector was way too hesitant, I think, for my liking. You've got to really try and get the downforce going through that S section, and Rocco just held back considerably, I think, in terms of what I've seen him do before. On the run to the line, though, he does improve considerably in the final sector, goes 7th still, 14.6, did improve on his lap time. I think Mika off a lap. That is the end of qualifying. Lou out on top, 13.7, which we both didn't see, is out on top. Mika there in second on 113.8, and Jensen, championship leader, third, 114.1. Baraka starts 10th.
First thing, Baraka's on the mediums for the start of the race, but of course he'd done multiple laps on those tires, so you never know, maybe there'll be a bit more less grip at the start. Of course he will be slower on the opening laps, but then over time he will start to get quicker, but of course he's got to mainly stay in that 1 second, because of course there's probably going to be a huge train of cars, I reckon. But whilst we actually wait, I think we should make our race prediction now.
Race prediction for me, I will inform you when the grid now comes up, because we just literally got back into the pit lane on board with the McLaren, so we'll try and make that prediction very soon, but we'll run you through the grid order in just a second when it does come up. Hopefully it does come up, unless I'm going to just see a lot of lovely crotch areas of McLarens. McLaren engineers, I should say. Lewad on top, Mika in second. Nobody wants to see that side, by the way. Lewad on top, 13.7. Mika in second. Jensen in third. Yona in fourth. Denzo in fifth. Crispus in sixth. Rocco in seventh. Harmon in eighth. T-Hawk and Baraka ran off the top 10. Kachow on his debut in 11th. Blackbox into Rodzavo 13th. And Henry down there in 14th position. And for my top 3, Charlie, I'm going to go for Jensen for the win. I'm going to go Yona for second. And I'm going to go Baraka for third.
For my prediction, I'm going to go with Lou for the win, Jensen in second, and this might be a bold risk, but I'm going to go for T-Hawk for third.
Interesting indeed. But Biolo, I think, in the comment section was saying F2 are currently faster in the same conditions. So F2 were actually setting faster lap times, it seems, and I'm going to tune into that session now, and I see pole position was a 14 flat, so actually F1 quicker than F2.
And it's actually quite surprising. David didn't even set a lap, and of course he's the championship winner.
Well, why should he set a lap if he's already the championship winner?
I mean, he can keep winning races. He's going to be in F1 next season, I'm pretty sure.
He will be. He's trying, I think, what we like to call the Montana strategy, where you try and go last to first, I think, on every single race, in terms of how that obviously comes about. Montana is an absolute god, I've got to say, in terms of the last to first challenge, formerly, of course, of FRL. And Biolo's saying Jensen, Liu, and Yona for the top 3, so a little bit of differing opinions, I think, within the comment section. Of course, if you are here to support your drivers, you can do indeed, and hopefully we're going to be getting 36 laps of what possibly Charlie called Race of the Season.
I'm hoping that the whole race isn't just spent behind a safety car, because F3 last night, the opening, 10 laps, nearly every single lap was behind the safety car, so hopefully not all the laps are just behind safety cars for most of the time, but hopefully we can actually see some bold overtakes, risks, and maybe a few crashes.
What on earth is going on here? I can't get to... Oh, there we go. Now I'm on broadcast cam. I think I was going to be on TV pod for the rest of the race. Goodness me. We open the formation lap, however, and I'll get everything up for the telemetry and the data and everything. Of course, top 10, or top 9, I should say, qualifying on that set of soft compound tyres. Baraka, of course, being the exception rather than the rule on that set of mediums. Interesting, though, Kachow and Black Box, you can make a simple one-stop workaround here in terms of a set of softs to mediums, and Kachow and Black Box have gone quite aggressive in terms of their strategy. Zero and Henry, I think, have been more conservative and exactly sort of the strategy that I want to go to. Mediums from the start of the race, and they're going to be, for a set of softs, they're going to be lasting possibly until around lap 12 if you can really get your tyres online and working. Otherwise, on a set of mediums, you're going to be pitting in and around lap 24-ish, I would say.
I mean, I won't lie. The one stop, to be honest, is actually going to be possible. I could see people doing a one stop, but I reckon that the two stop will probably be quicker for the lap times. But track position, of course, isn't really key around this track, of course. So if I was everyone, I'd be pitting twice, unless, of course, we get loads of safety cars. But they're forming up to the grid, and I'm not gonna lie, there's a bit of a gap between Denzo, I think, and Macho, but it's not that big of a gap actually as I thought it would be. So hopefully not everyone will be on cold tyres.
Yeah, nobody's going to be on cold tyres, I think. Obviously, Lou and Mika have absolutely flown their way around, but everyone's going to join on, I think, at the same time in terms of the formation lap. There is the run, by the way, down in towards Turn 1. You can just about see Turn 1 from Lou's perspective. Mika on the right-hand side of the grid, of course, on the dirty side of the grid, because he's adjacent, of course, to the pit wall. But we are about to get going here, and the Mexican Grand Prix is about to get underway at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. 36 laps await us here in FRL F1, and it is... Lights out and away we go, and Lou gets a very good start. So does Mika. Jensen off a good start as well. And Denzo, in fact, I think has got the best start of the lot. And we're going to see Lou running down in towards Turn 1 with the lead of the race. But for how long? Because Jensen is flying now on the outside line down in towards Turn 1. It's nearly 4 abreast as we go down in towards Turn 1. And Denzo tries the Verstappen line going around all the way around the outside. But it's Lou that leads the way still. Jensen in second, Mika in third, Denzo in fourth. A little bit of lag, I think, from Baraka further down the field. There was a mistake there from Rocco getting caught in the curb. But everyone's clean through safely. Kachow has got out the way right at the back of the field. Not sure if there's a little bit of damage on his car, but Lou leads the way as Denzo absolutely sends it down the inside line. It's actually Yona, sorry, that sends it on the inside line of Christmas, now around the outside in towards Turn 6, and Denzo down the inside line of Mika as well, getting their elbows out, but it is Lou that leads the way. Jensen in second, Mika and third, and Denzo's not going to go around the outside of here, and it is very clean, I've got to say, so far to this race. Baraka holding up Harmon a treat further down the field.
And sadly, you were right about Chow having damage, as he's actually lost his right side end plate, so he's going to have to come into the pit lane and box for a new front wing. And I could see him maybe go for hards, mediums, whatever tyre, because at the moment his race is already gone. But Lou, he's had a stunning first lap, as he's already a second ahead of Jensen.
He is coming out of Peraltada for the first time. 118.9 from Lou. Sets the quickest lap so far of the race. T-Hawk is now through on Harmon. And Harmon's actually into the pit lane. So Harmon, I think, might have a little bit of damage on the car as well. Yep, front wing change on the car. I'm not sure if he went into the back, possibly of Baraka, who was in front of him in terms of that lap. So Harmon might have just broke himself, possibly maybe down in towards Turn 1, I'm thinking, or Turn 4, one of the two. Lou leads the way, though. Jensen in second, Mika in third. Yona all the way over the back, though, of Christmas. Christmas now under pressure on the run-up in towards turn number 4. And currently unsettling down into Lou. That leads the way. Jensen second, Mika in third, and the bright blue skies here in Mexico. Both Harmon and Kachow are coming out of the pit lane, both on a set of medium compound tires as Christmas nearly locked up there into the back of Denzo.
Let's not forget that, of course, you're going to have to be careful with the track limits around there, of course, because the second sector does catch all the drivers out, as I think we're going to be expecting probably quite a lot of penalties. But if you're not going to have penalties, as I say that, we've already got 1 penalty and there's only been 2 laps. But as I was saying, if you don't get any penalties and everyone's like bunched up around near the end of the race, you're looking to get a good position, because, for example, Evo was down in P6 last night in F3, and he managed to get up into P2 because of all the penalties.
Yeah, changeable, I think, in terms of how the penalties will run. Rocco, I loved it how that was well timed, by the way, in terms of you saying there was a penalty, and Rocco just picks it up as soon as you say that. Mika on the back of Jensen, running down in towards turn 1. Jensen looks like he's losing a little bit of slipstream, actually, running down in towards turn 1, and now Christmas on the inside line of Denzo tries to look for the move, not going to get the move done there, and he's going to wait in behind, and Christmas will be hoping that he can get a present from Santa Claus, maybe 4th position in terms of this race, with Denzo just in front of him, and now Christmas Adel, the slipstream, is going to pull to the left-hand side on the inside line, down in towards 7-4. It's a little bit lucky, I've got to say, from Denzo's perspective on a 1-bar connection, and now they make a little bit of contact, but Denzo gets outdone all the way around the outside of Christmas. Nice move, that, I've got to say, with a bit of lag involved in that. Christmas is through and he's into P4, and that was very nice indeed.
Yeah, but the problem with that overtake is that he's outside of the DRS and he's nearly 2 seconds behind. And with Lou leading, he's still in the championship fight as it stands, but if he loses that position to Jensen, he's back out of the championship fight for now, as he needs to definitely keep the lead. But a lot of drivers, because Jensen's already down to 18% ERS, whilst Lou is on 50%.
And then you've got Mika, who's in behind on 66%, so Mika's got a considerable advantage over the front too. Jensen, though, bangs in the new fastest lap of the race, 117.6. He is going to close on Lou down in towards turn 1. I don't think he's going to be this far back to try and get the move done. Somebody that might, though, is Yona on the side of Denzo, and now Rocco's going to be like part of the Red Sea, down in towards turn 1. Yona on the inside line, Denzo trying to hang it all the way around the outside now, through the inside of 2, and now the inside of 3, and Rocco's going to sweep underneath them both. And he's going to be 3 wide, running down in towards turn 4, and I think Rocco, with that absolute godlike pace, he's going to get the move done, I think, around the outside line. He's going to be on the inside line for 5, and now the McLaren and the Red Bull go side by side, and now Denzel's going to sweep underneath them both if he's not careful, but Rocco gets the job done. He's into 5th.
I was about to say 3 into that corner does not go well, but thankfully Denzo did back out. But all they're doing is costing each other time, and they're losing the DRS and the slipstream. It's just
Black Box trying to go all the way around the outside of Teal, coming through the S section. Now that was absolutely bold if he was going to pull that one off, and that's right, because he just picked up a 3-second penalty, and now Black Box on the outside line of Teal, trying to sweep it all the way around the outside in towards the Ferrosol, but not quite. And actually Henry gets the move done on the outside line, and he's got to be very careful here. Henry doesn't want to put his nose in the Aston Martin. He shoves Black Box out of the way, and to be honest, he was ahead. He was entitled to do that.
It's only been 5. It's only been 4.
And here's Jensen. Here's Jensen for the race lead. Jensen for the race lead, and now Mika's going to take Lou as well down the inside line. Jensen takes the lead. Lou stays second, but I think Mika's going to get him in towards turn 4.
He probably will get him into turn 4, as he's got more ERS as well, and he's got the DRS as well as the slipstream. Is he going to go round the outside, down the inside? Where is he going to go, though? He's going to go down the inside, as I think Lou just left him enough space, but Lou keeps ahead for now. But Mika's going to do the switchback, but it doesn't quite work out.
And Henry's trying to go all the way around the outside of turn 4 as well. Leaves Teo very short of room. But that was absolutely sublime from Henry. And now Teo's going to go back down the inside line. He is. He's going to fight it back. But Henry on the outside line just about gets the move done. This is why we like commentating on FRL F1. Already there's action up and down the field. And it's only lap 5 as a yellow flag. It's Mika round.
It's Mika. Mika's gone round.
He has. He's gone round, coming through the S section. I think he got caught on the curb. I don't think there's any damage unless there's rear wing, because it looked like he might have hit the rear wing on the back of the on the barrier. But for now, he's in 8th position. Doesn't look like he's got any damage, as Lou is right on the back of Jensen for the race lead.
I'm hoping that Lou can take the lead, because I want him to win this race, because I want him to stay in this championship fight as Henry gets out of Mika, and I think Mika might have actually got front wing damage here, so I'm going to always... Okay.
Retired in the race. Retired in the pit lane.
Well,
that was.
he did lose his front. He did lose his front wing actually, but I'm not gonna lie. Retiring that early, that's way too early. We've actually missed Lou overtaking for the lead. Well, I did anyway, but I think he's gonna stay there, and yes, he will.
He will. We saw that down and towards turn 1. It was quite simple, I think, from Lou to get the inside line. Basically, Jensen didn't want to fight that, but they don't want to fight it too hard because obviously Jensen has got his rear gunner behind him, and then Yona, of course, Red Bull rear gunner's in 4th position. So we've got a little bit of tactical play now happening, possibly between the Red Bulls and the Alfa Romeos. But Lou, through that middle sector, looks considerably quicker than Jensen. 7/10 per second. Not sure if he's used up any deployment on this lap. It's around the same level of deployment as he did last time around, and Lou just seems like he's in a different league coming through the middle sector compared to Jensen, and the gap is nearly a second.
Morocco's just picked up another penalty, but I think that Lou, I think he feels more confident through those corners in sector 2, as Rocco's actually going to drop down as he spun.
He has spun coming through the S section. It's actually through Peraltada, actually, on the outside line. Now, I've seen that before, where drivers have lost it on the curb.
And that's
obviously going for the... Yeah.
That's going to be a 5-second penalty.
And he's in... Yeah, he's into the pit lane. Did he... Oh, he's retired.
Oh. Both McLaren's out.
That's a shame. I think, honestly... I know there's no points available. If this was TTML, I would literally say there's points available. Go for every single point you can get. But Rocco and Mika, both McLaren's now out the race. We didn't go through the constructor standings, by the way, in terms of the FRL standings. I'll just try and get them up now if I can, because I think Alfa Romeo might have a chance of actually wrapping it up tonight in terms of the constructors.
I think they might, but for now, of course, Red Bull. Is it Red Bull in second for the constructors?
I will tell you, I've got them up now. Give me a second while my iPad decides to load. Yeah, AlphaTauri it is in second, Red Bull's in third, but they're only 16 points off AlphaTauri. And they're outscoring them both at the minute.
So I think if Red Bull can keep this up, then they'll definitely be in a good position. But to be honest, Jona's definitely got to pick up the pace, but he's also got a penalty already. But I think Jensen, he might look to overtake Lou here, or he might just stay behind him so they can both pull away. But at the same time, Macho's catching up to them as well.
Do you know how I said he will stay behind? He goes down the inside line in towards turn 1. Jensen really does like having me on, doesn't he? He's into the lead.
Late. He braked very late though, and that definitely cost him a little. Lou almost lost it there, and there's a yellow flag, and I think that's for Kachow, and it is.
Kachow and Zabo's going side by side as well, down in towards someone. Kachow has lost his entire front wing to the S section. Luckily, I think the marshals have cleared it up because there's nobody around on track. So, Black Box gets caught on the curb! A Black Box on the wall! Zabo, wrong place, wrong time. Black Box just lost it by himself in front of that deployed to safety car, and that is Kachow's saving grace.
And that is absolutely unfortunate, and it's only been a few laps, and we've already got 3 retirements. And I'm not gonna lie, that's not a good first day back for Black Box, of course, but I think Jensen, of course, has the lead, but if him and Lou both pit, they're also going to cost their teammates time, I think, if they both pit as well, but who's going to come out first out of the pit lane?
Well, I think Christmas has got to try and back himself up into Yona here, and basically do a Hamilton in Saudi Arabia, where Hamilton obviously held up within the formation lap, and prevent a double stack happening, and Christmas is going to do that, and actually speeds into the pit lane nearly, but Yona has done what exactly I think Christmas should have done. Christmas should have backed up Yona into Baraka, and Yona, yeah, he's been held up, but look at Christmas, he's been held up massively compared to Yona.
I was about to say that Lou was getting held up in the pit lane, but it was just the glitch the game decided to give, but QVR Christmas is on the hards actually, which I think that's too much of a bold risk in my... Wait,
Yona's on a set of softs, and Baraka as well, and Henry, they're all going to the softs.
I mean, they can go, the softs can go long, they can, because I done it last night, so they can go long, they can pit late into the race around lap 23, then go for mediums, so it is possible, but they need to make sure that they're really on the pace here.
Mika confirming, by the way, in the Discord about his incident. It's exactly what I said. He rear-ended it into the wall and picked up rear wing damage. So Mika out the race because of rear wing damage. Retired it, luckily, though, in the pit lane, which I think is very thankful to say to Mika. Rocco, I think, retired as a result of a bit of a similar incident, to be honest. He lost it through the S section, and I wonder if he rear-winged it as well into the wall. So that's why both McLarens are out. And Black Box, of course, it looked like, actually, well, Black Box is saying in the Discord, sorry Zero, it looked like I tagged you from my screen. Yeah, I think Black Box basically just lost it in front. If you rewind the stream back, you can probably see the instant. Black Box just lost it on this curb, coming out of turn 3 on that outside curb. He's tried to recover it one way, the car's just gone the other way, and basically he's lost it and Zero was wrong place at wrong time. So it'll probably go down, if it's reported, racing incident quite simply.
Yeah, Black Box just lost the rear, then he ended up coming back onto the track and ended up hitting Zero, which made him go into the bar. But even if Zero didn't hit him, Black Box would have still been out either way, but that of course cost Zero his own time. But he's still in P9, and he's still in the points, but Harm and Kachow, Kachow's actually quite far behind, so the safety car, to be honest, the safety car could be out quite long here. It might even be out till lap 11.
I think it will, to be honest. We're on to lap 10 now, and if you are just tuning in and we're wondering why we've got a safety car, it is because a Black Box crashing into the wall on the exit of turn 3. Just a little bit on, actually, from turn 3. But that deployed a safety car, and now Jensen leads the way from Lou in second, and currently Lou would be out of the championship fight. He's more than 130 points behind Jensen at this stage, but he is still within striking range, really, of trying to get within the championship fight. Basically, Lou has got to hope that Jensen's tyres do not come on to play. But I saw Jensen race around in Canada in TTML F1, and if it's anything like a safety car restart back then, we didn't have a safety car in Canada, but if it's anything like a second half of the race, then he'll just pull away from the rest of the field.
I'm not gonna lie, if I were Jensen and Lou, I would not try to stretch the tyres to the end, because after around maybe lap 15 or I think lap 18, the tyres on the mediums start to really fall off, and there's no way they can go 26 laps on the mediums, but it's going to be very difficult. But all Lou needs to do is just overtake Jensen, then he's in the championship fight for now. But he's just got to make sure that he finishes ahead of him. He's got to beat him. He's only got to beat him by 1 point.
Yeah, he's only got to beat him by 1 point, but still, in terms of how we're going to be seeing this championship run, Baraka's there in 5th. Baraka is going to be losing considerable amount of margin to Jensen, who I believe also has the fastest lap of the race at this point as well. I'll just check that for a second. He does, 1:17.626 the fastest lap, but I mean, Lou in behind, 1:17.655. So Lou is within striking range for the fastest lap point in terms of that, but it's still not going to be enough, I think, for Lou to try and overcome his deficit to Jensen. Still waiting on Kachow, by the way, to rejoin at the back of the pack. We're going to be out for at least another lap underneath the safety car. It is Jensen out on top, Lou in second, Christmas in third, and to further add to that Zero and Black Box incident, Black Box is saying, maybe I shouldn't go to league racing on wheels so quickly, my bad, sorry guys, forgive me for that, I'll be more prepared if I do so again. And I think, honestly, we have to throw a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? I was going to say criticism, but that's not the word at all. We have to throw a little bit of sympathy, that's the word, sympathy to Black Box. Obviously, first time racing the wheel in FRL, and basically he's came in for baptism of fire, is what we can say.
Yeah, it's not the best way to join back the league, of course, by crashing out in just your first race back. But Kachow's finally caught up to the grid, so I'd imagine the safety car will be in this lap, but Jensen, of course, with the fast lap with a 1:17.626. Don't leave Yona out for the fast lap, as he was only 0.02 of a second off.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, Christmas is going to be the real cork in the bottle in terms of this. I think the front two are going to pull away. If Christmas holds Yona up and Baraka up, and they're behind them going into the S section, I predict Lou's gap to Christmas will be more than a second, quite easily. And I think Christmas is going to be the one that really struggles. He will get to the end of the race on those tyres. Mediums, maybe not so much, but hards, I think, will definitely make it to the end from this point on. But it all depends on how Yona reacts to that safety car in behind. He's in 4th, obviously with the penalty overriding him. Baraka there in 5th, safety car will be in this lap. But Christmas, I think, is going to be the real cork in the bottle. And you can immediately see what Christmas' entitlement is to do, and that's just back off Lou and basically back Yona into the rest of the field.
Spectate Denzo, because he was fully burning up his tires, clearly, because I saw smoke coming out of his tires, as I think he was trying to get rid of fuel, but I'm surprised that all the smoke came out behind.
Yeah, it's very weird. Obviously, burnouts are allowed within the safety car restart, and now Jensen goes, coming out of Peraltada. Safety car back into the pit lane. There was a slight moment, I think, from Yona in the background, just getting caught in the outside curb, and now Baraka's going to have a run at him, down in towards someone, and look at the deployment that Baraka's going to use up as well. He's going to pass Yona, and it's going to be a drag race between the AlphaTauri and the Red Bull down in towards someone, and Yona, I think, rightfully so, backs off. He's on the outside line, and Baraka is through, and he's into P4, so Baraka gets his start that he almost wanted, but look at the gap already. Christmas to Lou, 7/10 of a second. We haven't hit the S section yet. Henry on the back of Denzo as well, and Denzo really struggling that to the mediums, and Henry is through, and he's into P6. But Baraka now, he's going to be behind Christmas going into the S section unless he gets the move done into turn 7, which he won't. Christmas now becomes the cork in the bottle.
I think.
Oh no, actually no! Baraka's down the inside line, absolutely sends it! What am I talking about? Absolutely sends it! Denzo off track as well, in behind, and Christmas is trying to fight this back all the way around. What racing! Baraka is through and he's into P3. Christmas did not want to give that one up at all, and Baraka now defends that inside line. Yona in behind as well, doesn't get the move done, and Christmas now has just been outgunned by Baraka, and Yona down the inside line and towards the Ferrosol, doesn't get the move done. Jensen leads the way, Lou in second, but exactly what I predicted happened.
Now I was gonna say before Baraka overtook QVR Christmas, I was gonna say if he finishes fourth with Jensen winning with the fastest lap, he was gonna finish. He was gonna be a whole race points behind, which of course wouldn't be the best. But Lou and Jensen just pulling away. But Baraka.
Oh, and Henry into the back of Christmas. Dives it down the inside line. I think Christmas was too lethargic on the power, and now he's there in P5. T-Hawk's right on the back of this now for P7, and Henry got lost of position in that on Denzo, and Henry just moves across on T-Hawk, and T-Hawk's not going to be kind to that, I don't think. He stays there in P8. He is struggling, maybe with a little bit of front wing damage, possibly. He looks like he's struggling considerably on those tyres. Jensen though leads the way, Lou in second. Baraka now, with that straight line speed, and with his downforce setup, he's now less than a second off the top two.
If he could just close it to 1 second, which he has done now, never mind, he's not. But if he can, then he's going to be in the DRS. And I do believe that DRS has been enabled, I believe. I'm not quite sure if it has been.
Next lap.
So next lap, Lou will probably overtake Jensen for the lead. Then Baraka, he's going to close up. But so's Yona's actually within the second of Baraka for now as well. So he's going to get DRS as well. But not on the long straight.
Yeah, not down the long straight, and Baraka, I think, just is going to wait in behind on the front two. Lou, I think, and Jensen. Baraka may as well let these two go to war in front, and they're going to battle because they can make their tyres, possibly, to the end of the race. Biolo making a really good point, I've got to say, in the comment section, saying that Christmas is on the better strategy. But look at how much time he's going to waste, basically, on that sort of hard short term. Henry on the back of Denzo just in behind all of this as well, and Henry is through and he's into P6. Denzo does not want to fight that move, so Henry through and he's into P6. He's on that sort of soft compound tyre, but Christmas is losing, I think, too much of an advantage short term to gain it back long term.
Now I have noticed something as well, but whenever Jensen goes into turn 4, he seems to lock up the right front tyre, which of course is going to lose him a little bit of time, but if he keeps on locking up, he's going to lose the grip and he's going to lose temperature. He's going to, well, lose grip mainly. But Baraka's right behind Lou, speaking of which actually, but Yona's sticking behind him. I think he's just trying to hold everyone up so they can't catch up to Jensen and Lou, and Baraka and Yona to fight them for the lead. Because of course I think Christmas was supposed to just go on those hards, try to hold up Baraka, but clearly it didn't go to plan.
It didn't go to plan. I think short term, as I say, it's the wrong strategy, and now he's going to be outdone by Henry on the outside line down in towards turn 1, and Denzo's coming steaming around the outside, and that switches the inside line as well. So Denzo, former IFR, the current IFR man, of course, that is in P7 on the back of Crispus, of course, former TTG man, as Lou is right on the back of Jensen for the race lead, and he now dives it down the inside line in towards turn 4, and Jensen has a gentleman's agreement and just says, you know what, come through, I'll just stick to the back of you. Lou leads the way, Jensen now in second, Baraka in third. Further down the field, Zero was through on T-Hawk as well, and Dendel did get that move done on Crispus, and he's now through, and he's into P6 as well. But Baraka, I think now is probably the time to try and set your stall out, to try and get as much of an advantage as possible, because really Baraka, you would imagine, is going to be racing Crispus when, of course, Baraka comes out the pit lane.
Yeah, but at the same time, you never know. Lou, Harm's picked up a penalty now as well. But Lou, I think Lou's just got to hope that Jensen and Baraka... Oh, what's happened?
Harmon around the outside of turn 12 into the Ferrosol. Lovely move. It was not off track at all, and he's into 9th, and Baraka's on the back of Jensen.
Well, it looked like he went off the track on my stream. Henry's putting the fast slap, which is quite a surprise considering that he didn't... Actually, no, he did have the DRS, but Lou has now lost out to Jensen and Baraka. Is he going to lose that to Yona?
Ooh! And Yona's on the inside line, and Lou let him go. And Yona picked up a 3-second penalty, so I think now Yona is probably going to let Lou back through in terms of the penalties.
If I was Lou, I'd probably let Yona race them because he's on the quicker tyre. But he's locked up, as I say that, and he's locked up quite a few times to be honest. But Yona's on the quicker tyre, so it's best that he lets Lou. It's best that Lou allows Yona to race them.
And Harmon's on an absolute charge through the field as well. He's into 8th position. Another lovely move on the outside of turn 4. Absolutely centre on the brakes around the outside of Zero. And he's into P8. And Harmon really catching my eye in terms of his moves. As long as he gets onto the back of Crispus, he's got a chance, actually, of possibly picking up a really good race result. Possibly a top 5 finish here tonight as Kachow picks up another penalty. Jensen now leading the way. And Jensen now the cork and the bottle out in front. Baraka in second, Yona in third, Lou in fourth. Lou is sticking with these because Jensen is holding these guys up, and now out of peril Tada, he loses time, but down the straight he's going to be quite quick, and I think Yona possibly could go and try and get both Baraka and Jensen down the straight. You can see Baraka not really using any deployment, and now Yona down the inside line in towards turn 1. Is he going to get the move done? Not quite. Baraka holds the lead, and Yona there in second, but Yona will have the DRS on Baraka.
Now, this is crucial that Yona might want to battle with Baraka, or he wants to try and hold up Jensen to get Lou back ahead of him. Because, of course, Baraka locks up, and so did Lou there, actually, as well. I caught that. But Baraka, of course, he's going to have to just try and pull away from Jensen and Lou, since they're going to be slower than them, probably. But if he wants to pull away, he's got to at least get that 1 second gap on Yona, or get Yona away from Jensen to build that gap. It looks like he's already doing it, but it's not big enough, of course, yet, as Henry gets a penalty as well. And I think Baraka's actually close to a penalty as well, because it did look like he cut the corner through sector 2 there a little bit.
He ran wide coming through there, and speaking of running wide, Denzo ran wide and Crispus in behind. He's still sticking with him there in 7. There are the penalties, by the way. 6 seconds for Yona, Henry, Harmon, and 9 seconds for Kachow. The rest on 3, Denzo, Crispus, and Zero, all on 3 seconds, as Yona is going to attack for the race lead. Baraka now under pressure, and Yona absolutely saunters by. The guys in the set of softs, short term, are running brilliantly in terms of their strategy. Longer term, it's going to be quite tricky, as Crispus is now through into turn 1 on Denzo, gets the move done, and Zero now will repeat the favour on Harmon just further down the field. He's through and he's into 8th position, but Yona and Baraka, they almost look like they were pulling a second away from Jensen. All of a sudden, down in towards turn 4, it's 6 tenths again, so everything Constantine is up, and I think we're going to see the switch now, where mediums are going to be quicker than softs from around this point in the race.
Yeah, the mediums will probably start to be a bit more quicker than those soft runners, but they're still... I'm not really gonna lie, I expected Baraka and Yona to pull away from Jensen Lou a lot more further, as if all this has even caused Henry to join the battle as well, as he's nearly lowered it to a second as well.
And look at the gap he's pulled out. It was a 3-second gap, I think, between Henry and Christmas. And now it's 4 seconds. So Henry flying on that set of soft compound tyre. But they're going to be going 2-stop. The rest of the guys, I should say, on the set of soft will be going 2-stop. Mediums, I think, can make it to the end. But Christmas on that set of hard compound tyre, he's in 6th. He's got Denzel behind him.
Jensen's in trouble.
Jensen is in trouble. No ERS.
Yeah, he's got 0. He's used all his ERS too early.
He has, and I think that's probably negating the fact that he is trying to catch up, but I think he doesn't really need to use up his deployment as much, because he's 7/10 behind Baraka, but Baraka is essentially going to drag Jensen along, so if I was Jensen, I'd be honestly just sitting, waiting in behind, maybe let it get out to around a second, and then pull in with the deployment, because he's going to save a lot more deployment than he actually thinks.
Yeah, but at the same time, he doesn't want Henry or Lou to get ahead of him, because if Jensen falls out that 1 second, then Lou's going to overtake him. And Lou's got more ERS than Jensen. And if Lou does get ahead of him, Jensen's going to lose out a lot here. As Teal gets a penalty as well now.
Yeah, Teal'c's, I think, first 3-second penalty, and he's on the wall. Teal'c into the wall, front side damage, VSC deployed. So VSC deployed.
Yona should pit.
And Yona is going to pit.
He will.
And so does Baraka.
It's a good idea that they pit.
Henry will come in as well. All soft runners will come in. Onto set of mediums will go to the end of the race. And now this throws the strategy in the race entirely open in terms of what could be possible. And in fact, actually, we're seeing more drivers into the pit than Christmas is into the pits. And so is Denzo, quite interestingly. Baraka, though, behind Yona, coming out the pit lane. And he is going to be out in 4th because there's Kachow out in 3rd. He continues on. Baraka, as you said, on a set of softs.
I don't know what... I mean, he can definitely go the amount of laps on those softs. He can get those to the end, but I'm not going to lie. If I was him, he should have gone to the mediums, because that was probably the best option, but you never know. He might want to pull off the undercut on everyone else, which, of course, they're most likely going to do, because the VSC's still out, surprisingly. But Teal'c, of course, was my prediction for P3, but that's probably all gone in the bin now. But Jensen and Lou, they're all by themselves. Did Kachow pit as well?
No, Kachow stayed out.
So, Kachow could... Oh, Yona almost...
Oh, Baraka's got a drive-through! Baraka's got a drive-through penalty for speeding on the VSC! Championship now blown entirely wide open, and he was, I think, a couple of miles an hour over the limit in terms of this, but now he's got to utilise those softs to good effect. He picks up another 3-second penalty, and you know what, Baraka, you may as well come into the pit and then serve that drive-through penalty now.
I'm not going to lie, I could see Baraka retiring. But if I wouldn't retire, because he can keep going and score the points, but that has really caught him out. Here's the worst part, he was on the softs, he was behind Yona, and it's all gone for absolutely nothing. He's staying out surprisingly, but you never know, he might try
to... Lou down the inside line of Jensen, sorry to cut in, down the inside line, gets the move for the lead of the race. I didn't expect that at all, and Lou now through and he's into the lead. Yona is under pressure from Baraka as well, and now Baraka pulls alongside and nearly actually touches the left side, the right-hand side of Yona's car on the left side of Baraka's car. Baraka now through and he's into P4, and look at Kachow, and look at the pace of Baraka. If Baraka didn't pick up that drive-through, he's absolutely thundering through the field. He's going to get P3. Kachow's an absolute sitting duck. Baraka's through and he's into P3, and if he didn't pick up that drive-through, you know what, I think he might be on the top, he might be certainly within the top 3 if he didn't pick up that drive-through penalty. If not, he'd be closing the leaders by 2 seconds a lap.
Yeah, and there's the worst part for Lou and Jensen. It's either that they pit for softs later on in the race, because they're going to lose more time as it goes on, or they try to stretch their tyres that they have on at the moment to the end of the race, because either way, they've most likely lost out, to be honest, because of that VSC. But Baraka's probably the one who's mostly lost out, because he's got the 3-second penalty, he's got the drive-through, which he's probably going to serve now, and he doesn't. If he doesn't serve at this lap, he's going to get disqualified, I think.
I think it's a second lap, if I'm not mistaken, that he's on in terms of the safety car. Yona, by the way, through and he's into P4 for speeding on the VSC, I should say. Baraka is into P3. Did pick up that speeding on the VSC 2 laps ago. See, actually, you might be right. This might be his final lap until he pits in, but I think he's trying to negate the advantage to the rest of the field. He's trying to lose that advantage somewhat, because obviously take out the pit stop, you're going to be through the pit lane here in around 15 seconds, I would say, maybe slightly less than that. And Baraka is pulling out as much as he can on that set of soft compound tyres now to negate the disadvantage he's going to have later on in this race. And I think it's a smart strategy because obviously he's going to stay on that set of softs and hope they get to the end.
Here's the bad news for Yona. He's going to have no DRS or slipstream, so Lou and Jensen, they're practically going to gain time on Yona down the straights, but in the corners they're going to lose out to him. But you never know. Yona could possibly be on for the win here, to be honest.
He could be, but it all depends on whether Lou and Jensen are going to come into the pit lane. Jensen has saved up enough energy now to attack Lou down in towards turn 1. Baraka is into the pit lane to serve up his drive through, and Jensen is through into the lead of the race as well on Lou, as Henry gets past on Kachow as well further down the field, and Kachow in fact is into the pit lane and retires in the pit lane. Interestingly,
I mean, he did have a lot of penalties.
But considering though he was still in a top 10 position, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, but he had a lot of penalties, but yeah, to be fair, he could have scored points, but he had a lot of penalties, and you never know. Late safety car could come out, and that could ruin his whole race.
Late safety car might come out anyways, and obviously it negates that disadvantage somewhat, and obviously Kachow may as well stay out. There is a yellow flag in sector 1, that's just his car retiring off track. Jensen leads the way, Lou in second, Yona in third, Baraka on the back of Zero. And unfortunately, I think, more unfortunate news, I think, for Baraka, he's got Zero in front of him on the same strategy, and I think he would have wanted to come out behind Zero, in front of Zero, behind Denzo, and he would have had a much better chance of getting through the field. Now with Zero struggling in front of him, Baraka has got to try and let Zero somewhat work him into contention, but Zero hasn't got the pace to do that, so Baraka needs to get a move on.
I mean, as long as if Zero's outside the 1 second gap to Denzo, then Baraka can easily go on by, but Lou's actually just overtaken Jensen for the lead as I speak, as he's gonna, I think Jensen and Lou, I think them two are definitely gonna try and stretch those tires, because to be honest, I think they're pulling away from Yona, to be honest.
I mean, can you see an 11, unless those tyres go really well off at the end of the race. Baraka saunters past Zero, by the way, down towards turn 1. Zero tries to fight that, but Baraka's through, and he's into 7th, and now Baraka is in technical clear air. As long as he gets ahead of Denzo, he'll be flying once again, and he could be within a top 5 finish despite having a drive-through penalty. Lou leads the way. That middle sector again, he seems so much quicker than Jensen through the middle sector, and Jensen just tries to pull that advantage out with that DRS, but he doesn't get close enough. He's 7/10 away. Yona in third. But what I'm going to pose to you is the question, as Christmas picks up a penalty, can you see Yona pulling down an 11.5 second gap in 13 laps time? I can't.
I mean, if Lou and Jensen start to really lose the grip, because Jensen was 1.4 seconds slower that lap. Yona, at the moment, let's see how far he's off of his lap time. He was only 7/10 off, so he practically gained 7/10 that lap, so it is possible, but he's going to lose time on the straights.
But these two are battling now out in front as well, so Yona's going to be helped by this, and Jensen retakes the lead of the race from Lou, and Lou picks up a penalty. Lou picks up a penalty, and do you know what? I rode on board with that, and that did not look like a 3-second penalty to me. It might cause an invalidation in qualifying, but he ran 2 wheels over, kept the car completely straight, and the 3-second penalty was picked up by just correcting himself off the curb. So I think Lou, I rode on board with that, so the stream will prove it. I think he should report that and try and get that removed, because I do not think that was a 3-second penalty.
Yeah, that definitely was not worthy of a 3-second penalty, I think, but he's either, he hopes that Jensen gets another penalty and keeps on pushing for that race win, but of course, at the moment he's only going to come in second, but Yona, he's gained, I think, a full second this lap.
He has, and I think it's because they're battling. Denzel's picked up another penalty as well. I was just checking the race director there. Jensen's only got 1 warning, but he has got an invalidated lap time, which is very strange. I'm not sure if that counts as a second warning, so he might be only 1 warning away from picking up another 3-second penalty, so Jensen's got to be careful. Lou, on the other hand, though, obviously, he has got that 3-second penalty, and essentially, he's got to take the fight now to Jensen. He's got to put Jensen considerably under pressure now compared to what Yona would do in behind. And you were right, Yona has gained a good second and a half, I would say, on Lou and Jensen. And that gap is beginning to be whittled away per lap. 11.5 seconds, as I say, was quite an impossible gap to try and pull down. I might change my mind now. It's 10 seconds the gap, 10.5 seconds. Yona's got a chance of winning this if Jensen and Lou continue fighting at the battles that they are.
Yeah, but here's the problem. He's got to build the 6... If he does overtake them, he's got to build the 6-second gap.
Yeah.
But you never know. Since their tyres are 11 laps older than Yona's, he's of course definitely quicker, because he's gained another full second this lap already, as he's only just passed the second sector. He was actually 2 tenths up in the first sector, but he was 2 tenths down in the second sector, but you can easily tell he's gaining all the time that he needs to gain.
Yeah, definitely. So Lou on the back though of Jensen. I think this is the time where Lou could say go in terms of his championship fight and let loose now on Jensen. These two are going to fight to the end of the race. No shadow of a doubt about that, as Lou takes the lead of the race once again off Jensen. And with 10 laps to go, this race is still not decided at all. Jensen is in behind on Lou. Lou will now begin to pull away, and I think Jensen actually got caught in the curb there, starting and loses even more time to Lou. Zero on the back of Denzel, by the way. It's like you're literally going to try and pass a laggy lagger out on track, as Zero was through and he's into 7th. I know that didn't make sense, I couldn't think of anything better. Zero was through and he's into 7th, and Denzel there in 8th position. And what could have it been actually from Zero if he didn't get caught up in that collision with Black Box? Where could he have been in this race?
He could have probably been in a much better position. And here's the other thing, Henry, he could be on for the win as well.
He could be. Looking at the penalties though, both Yona and Henry have got 6 seconds. As is Christmas in behind.
They've already closed. They're basically a full second faster per lap than Jensen and Lou. But of course, Jensen's actually he's nearly 1 second behind Lou. I think that all Lou needs to do, he needs to get Jensen outside of that 1 second gap, then he can just go off all on his own, build that gap and win the race, hopefully.
You'd imagine so. I think, honestly, if Yona is continuing to close in at a second per lap, he's got a chance of winning this race and got a chance of latching onto the front two with, I would say, around 4 laps to go. And it's only in 5 laps' time. So Yona has got a chance to latch onto the back of Jensen and Lou. But what does he do when he's onto the back of these? He's going to have considerably fresher tyres than Lou and Jensen. But Lou and Jensen are basically going to be coming back, and you know what they're both going to be like. They're going to go for the win. As this time ticks by, I think the only thing that will help Lou and Jensen at this stage, Jensen keeps on the back of Lou, and they basically form a little DRS train out in front, and that's what will keep Yona at bay.
I think that if Lou wants the win, he's got to, like, really push the car, but I think Jensen has figured out that he needs to start saving his ERS for, like, maybe the last few laps. Because you never know, there could be a late race puncture, safety car, or crash even. But Yona, if he keeps this up, he's going to get ahead of Jensen and Lou, but of course he's going to lose the race if he doesn't build the gap. But by the time he gets to them, his tyres might begin to fall off as well.
Yeah, possibly so. Jensen again on the back of Lou down towards someone not close enough. Really hope you're enjoying F1, by the way. Here, F2 is also live. I'm going to tune into F2, and they've got a safety car, in fact. And it is, Remco leading the way, Ryan in second and David in third, and that's on lap 29 out of 36. Same lap time that we are on at the minute, lap 29 out of 36, a little bit further on than the F2 race, given that I think they've had a few safety cars in that. Lou leading the way, Jensen in second, Yona in third. Gap now 7 seconds between Yona and Yona and Lou. Harmon is into the pit lane to put on a set of soft compound tyres. No, he hasn't.
I'm hoping he don't retire. He might just go for the fast lap.
He will. Yeah, he's already passed the pit box. He's not going to retire coming out the pit lane unless he loses the car. He won't, and he's out of the pit lane now. So Harmon, I think, will go for that fastest lap potential. Henry has picked up another penalty in behind. And I've got to be honest, Yona didn't close as much as what I would have thought last lap around. It's 6.6 seconds now, the gap. And Yona... I said, I will stick to my original thing. 11.5 seconds to gain in 13 laps was quite difficult, as Jensen's going to attack Lou for the race lead. Absolutely saunters by him down in towards turn 1 and gets the move done. So Jensen through and he's into the lead of the race. He realises Jona's not going to gain on him, and Jensen has got to go for this now.
Here's the other thing. Baraka on the softs, he's still down in P6.
He is. He hasn't an impact on Christmas either in terms of his drive-through penalty. And Baraka's doing a good job. He's in 6th, but he's not closing up. And I think those softs have really reached their peak in terms of performance. As have Zeros. Zeros is now 5 seconds off the back of Baraka, and he's getting hounded all the way by Denzo. 8 seconds now the gap. And Jensen and Lou gap Jona now beginning to come down. 6.2 seconds. I said it was 6.6 last time around. It's now pretty much borderline 6 seconds, and Jona knows he's got to pick up the pace, and he is doing that.
Yeah, Jona's definitely picking up the pace, but he's not gaining as much time as he used to be. But Lou and Jensen, I think that they're both definitely beginning to struggle, because Jensen, he was only 1200 slower that lap, his personal best summer, but is Lou going to maybe overtake him on the straight,
yep.
Or is he? I think Lou, if I was Lou, maybe just try to get his teammate to win.
Possibly so. I mean, Lou is now out in front. Jensen there in second. 6 laps to go. 6 seconds to gain. Jona's got to gain a second per lap to even get onto the back of these guys. So it looks like it's between these two. It's between Lou and Jensen. Lou, I think, if he wants a Red Bull 1-2, he's got to back Jensen up so much, basically do a Verstappen on Hamilton in Saudi Arabia this season. That's what he's got to do. And Lou, I don't think, is going to do that, because I've seen him use up a lot of deployment this lap, and his strategy is now clear. Race win.
He's almost a second ahead.
He is. He is a second ahead.
Not quite yet. I'm hoping he gets a second ahead, because then he can pull away, but Jensen used his ERS there. I think Jensen's quicker on the straights, but Lou's quicker in the corners, and I'm really hoping that Lou's out within a second ahead, because then he can just pull away, hopefully, but
no,
I don't think he's not quite far enough just yet.
9/10, it's a second now. Is this a DRS detection point? He's just within inside a second at the DRS detection point, so Jensen just about keeps his race winning hopes alive. Jona now 6 seconds behind, 5 laps to go. The time for Jona has gone, I think, so it's now between these two, and in fact actually Jona's fight is with Henry, who is closing up quite quickly on the back, and he's within DRS running down in towards turn 1 as well. But Lou leads the way. Jensen there in second. Denzo is through into 7th. Yeah, Zero into the pit lane. Why don't you go into the pit lane? T-Hawk's on the other side of the track. You're going to be out comfortably in 8th and go for the fastest lap.
Same thing with Harm as well, and Baraka's got the fast slap as well, so I doubt that, I'm not gonna lie, I doubt that anyone else is gonna get that fast slap off Baraka. But Jensen is managing to stick with Lou here. Jona needs to hope that these two really start battling, but I don't think that I think Jensen's goal is to just stay with Lou, then he's safe, and then he's got the win, but you never know, Lou could get his penalty removed. But he needs to make sure he provides them with the race director.
I've got to be honest though, I've been fascinated by this race. It has been more of one of the tactical races we've had so far in FRL F1 this season, and that was just the first sign of a mistake there from Lou. He got caught sideways coming out through the Ferrosol, and he just got caught sideways. He didn't lose any time, but that's the first sign of a little mistake beginning to creep in the Red Bull. The Alfa Romeo now 6/10 behind. Is he going to try and launch it down in towards turn 1? I think Jensen's going to sit in whip behind this time around. Henry, as you rightfully said, is on the back of Jona, and he's closing in quite quick, but he hasn't got the ERS to try and deploy that, and he's still in P4. Jona there in P3. Lou leading the way. Jensen in second. Hold on to your hats, everyone. This is going to be a wild and wacky 3.5 laps as Henry really on the back now of Jona. Is he going to try and use the deployment up to good effect? He's on now in the inside line, but he doesn't go for the move. Jona invited him there. He's now in P3. Jona's dragging Henry along with this. They're 4.5 seconds away from Jensen and Lou for the lead. Can I say it's not over and done with? I think it is, but I hate to think it's not.
I mean, you never know. Again, they can get a puncture, but a lot of F3 runners last night, of course, actually went nearly 25 laps on their tyres. They didn't get a puncture, so I doubt I'll see them with these guys with a puncture, but you never know. They might make a mistake and it might cause them to spin out or crash, but they're still in, Yona and Henry, they're still in this, but if them two come together, then it's not going to end well.
Yeah, definitely not. They're on to lap 34, by the way. 33, I should say, in F2. F1 here. On to lap 34 we go, so we're slightly ahead of F2. Liu leading the way, Jensen in second. Jensen not going to go for the move this time around, and I think he gets himself way too far back compared to turn 1 in the past. He gets himself way too far back to try and launch a move, and if he does that another time round, he's not going to have a real chance to get the win here, even though he will have less penalties as Henry makes a mistake coming out of turn 1, and out through 2 and 3, he's closing up on the back of Yona, but it's not going to get the move done, and still, Yona beginning to bridge the gap to Jensen. Jensen waiting in behind, Yona's only there, 2.9 seconds, this might not be over and done with just yet.
I think that Liu needs Yona to catch up to Jensen, and then hopefully Yona can really... They need to... I think Jensen...
Yona's flying!
Liu or Yona need to force Jensen into a mistake for... Oh my god, that scared the living daylight out of me. It looked like Henry went off for a segment instead of just his connection.
I think he made a mistake, actually, and that's why a little bit it lagged him back on track slightly. Harmon's picked up a penalty further down the field. Jensen's ran wide, coming out of Peraltada, and Liu now negates that somewhat, and it's 0.5 of a second, but this is Jensen's time. He's a lot closer this time around. He's got to get the move done, even if he doesn't use his ERS down the straight. He will use it to good effect, and now Jensen pulls out of the slipstream. This is go time for Jensen. The championship leader takes the race lead with 2 laps to go here in Mexico. Jensen leads the way, Liu in second, Yona in third, and now Liu has got to stick with Jensen and put him under pressure to pick up a 3-second penalty.
Yeah, he's definitely got to just stick with him, because I don't know what the penalties are like. I'm going to quickly check, but Liu's the only one who's on 3 seconds, but the Henry, I think Henry had a huge lockup where that was Yona, but QVR Christmas is on 12 seconds of penalties. He's on the mediums. I don't think he made the right strategy calls today by going on those hards.
I did say short term those hards would really struggle. He dropped so far down the field. It was a strategy call that I think he totally got wrong, and I think he'll look back on that and probably look back on his interview as well and say, yeah, I got that one wrong. Jensen leads the way though. Liu, if he's still within 0.5 coming out of Peraltada here, he's going to be on the back of Jensen. He's going to have the deployment. Is he going to try and fight back for the race lead? One would imagine. 0.7 of a second as Jensen gets caught on the outside curve there slightly, had a slight twitch, but now Jensen pulls away from Liu, and actually in terms of the deployment, Liu may as well give up because Jensen is going to be holding the lead down and towards turn 1. Henry, on the other hand, 6% of deployment left. He's on the back of Yona. He's closing in down and towards turn 1, but he's not going to quite get the move done. Yeah, he has got more penalties though.
There's no point in Henry overtaking Yona, because if he spins Yona out,
he wants it.
Yona won't be a happy man.
He wants this though. Henry's going to go to the inside line. Yeah, the Aston Martin now on the Red Bull down on the inside line in towards turn number 4. He forces Yona out wide. Yona holds the inside line though now for 5, and then in toward the double right-hander of 6. The traction is there for Henry. Yona still fighting this very aggressively. I've got to say these two are going at it, and Henry just about gets the traction. Yona's not going to hang this around the outside, and he gets shoved out of track. And Henry throws into P3, and Henry had the inside line, and 2 into 1 through that corner, didn't go.
I don't really understand why Yona would bother fighting Henry for that position, because he's going to lose out anyway to him, because Henry's going to lose out to Yona for the penalties. But Jensen, he was on pole. Was he on pole or was he second?
Second, I think. Jensen ran the final corner here at Peraltada. It's a Mexican Grand Prix victory for Jensen. He extends his championship lead as well in doing that, and I think, unconfirmed, I think they've wrapped up the constructors as well of Alfa Romeo. Liu in second, Yona in third, Henry fourth, Christmas there in fifth, disappointed in terms of his strategy. P6 though for Baraka. And actually, one of the AlphaTauri guys gets ahead of the Alfa Romeo, but I think Alfa Romeo have outscored AlphaTauri in terms of the points. And judging by my maths, which is terrible, I think Alfa Romeo wrapped up the constructors. I think.
I'm going to quickly check really quick. I'm just going to check the point standings. So, who had the... If I'm correct, Baraka had the fastest lap, didn't he?
Unless Harmon gets it, because Harmon actually overtook T-Hawk on this lap. Harmon...
Yeah.
Around the final corner, Yeah, 1.5 seconds down. Seahawk finishes in 9th in the end, so does actually pick up points as not the prediction that he made earlier on. Obviously, you commentate on him and he doesn't pick up points, but he has picked up points there in P9. Drive of the day awarded by the in-game fans, ERT Henry.
Oh, that's not my drive of the day, in my opinion. Sorry, Henry.
No. Definitely not mine either.
But I'm waiting to see who got the fastest lap error.
But to the top step of the podium goes Jensen. It's another race victory this season for the championship leader. He extends his championship lead. He might have wrapped up the constructors for Alfa Romeo. We'll have to do a lot of calculations going into that. To be honest, I didn't do the permutations going into tonight either. Yona was saying, what percentage were you guys on? Jensen was on 67% in terms of his mediums to the end. Yona must have been going quite aggressive in terms of his strategy. Jensen though out on top. The only driver, Baraka by the way did pick up fastest lap of the race, 15.4. Jensen did take the win though. Lou in second, and Jensen was the only one that didn't pick up any penalties in the whole field, apart from Mika, who obviously retired earlier on with rear wing damage. But Jensen out on top, Lou in second, Yona in third, Henry in fourth, Baraka in fifth, Christmas in sixth, Denzo in 7, 0 and 8, Seahawk in 9th, Harman ran off the top 10, so they all pick up points. Kachow in 11th, Blackbox in 12th, Rocco 13th, and Mika 14th. They roll out the race, and they do not pick up any points at all. But Jensen out on top, Lou in second, Yona in third.
The Constructors' title is not decided yet.
It must be
It's
10,
not.
15 points possibly in it from them wrapping it up.
By my calculations, it's 25 points.
25 points. It's 43 per race, isn't it?
No, 44.
43. Yeah, 44 including the fastest lap. So 44, hang on. 44. And there's how many races left? There's four races left. So it's 166 points.
Wait, what? I got 176.
100 and... I think it's 100 and... No, you're right, actually. It is 176.
Yeah.
You can tell I failed GCSE maths. But yeah.
Yeah, so they're still in the fight.
176 points, and the gap between them was around 130 odd, I think.
Yep.
So there we are. So Alfa Romeo then do not wrap up the constructors, but maybe next week in Brazil is the crowning moment for them. Shall we get across to the interviews party, by the way?
We shall.
Shall indeed. I will see you there. I'm just going to hop into the... And there is a party, I think, set up here. I hope there is. Anyways, let's get in there now and join the post-race interviews party. There's a little bit of conversation going on as I join Yona and
hello,
as I return back to the screen, we can talk to our race winner. It is, of course, Jensen. And Jensen, once again, you had to fight for that victory. Talk us through it.
Yeah, cheers. That was a hard one. I didn't know if it was going to work out after the first safety car, looking at what everyone else was on. But I opted for the mediums, taking the risk that they'll make it to the end. And, of course, as seen, I managed to just about pull them out of the bag, 68% in the end, which was, yeah, just about getting it there. But, yeah, really happy with that, to win at Mexico after last season. You probably remember my little incident with the drive-through, but exactly the same happened to Baraka this season, so it was unlucky for him there. But yeah, in the end I'm taking away a good gain on him, but yeah, it was a fantastic race.
Yeah, really good race, I think, from your perspective, obviously. Talk us through, though, obviously Yona was in behind you. The gap was around 11.5 seconds, I think, in terms of coming out from the VSC that pitted, and you all decided to pit in. Were you in any doubt to try and get those tyres towards the end of the race?
Tyre saving is my specialty. I always go to high pressures, so they make them last to the end, and I don't get as much overheating still. It's just... in the race, I think, compared to qualifying, I think the race is just, yeah, I feel in a completely different zone. Just consistent as you could get. And one warning throughout the race as well, someone managed to pull out of the bag. But I think I saw it was 25 laps of green flag racing. I had to get the mediums through, and I was getting about 2.5 or 3% a lap, so I was fairly confident that they were going to get to the end before in the puncture territory. But yeah, I didn't expect it to be as low as 868, in fact, but yeah, just tried to play it safe.
I think it just comes to show how good you were at managing your tyres, because I know for a fact Lou was going quite aggressive towards the fuel at the end of that race, so I think Lou was probably pushing his tyres more than what you were, and I think that just really comes to show that you managed your race, I think, a little bit better than what Lou did in terms of obviously the final couple of laps and the penalty situation, which I will come on to, of course, when we interview Lou. Charlie, I'm going to come across to you. Are there any questions?
I have two things to say. One, Alfa Romeo have not quite secured the constructors' title.
Yeah, we needed a 1-2, and AlphaTauri to not even score, I think, to win it. So, but I think me and Jordi were both like, yeah, we're looking at Brazil, get it done. I'm pretty sure we're so close
I do think
again.
that it will. Yeah, I think that it will happen at Brazil next week. But speaking of Brazil, how do you feel going into there next week?
To be honest, it's this game I've had a fair share of good races and bad races. I've had, I think, a spin in PSGL F2 when I was leading, where I think looking at it there, I could have got a fairly easy win with the tyres. So it depends. But I think Brazil, my race pace, I think, yeah, it's top tier race pace. So when it comes to that, I think you'll see some good stuff.
Yeah, I think it was a fantastic drive from your perspective, and for me, I'm not sure if Charlie will agree with me, you definitely deserve driver of the day.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
I definitely agree on that.
Thank God I said that, actually, and he did agree with me on that.
I was tempted to say Lou, but he didn't get the win.
He didn't get the win. He got a 3-second penalty, which we caught on stream, which was unfortunate. But go on, enjoy your evening, Jensen.
Thank you, and thank you for commentary as always.
You are very welcome indeed. We'll now move on to the man who did finish in P2, of course, FRL Lou. And Lou, first things first, let's talk about that 3-second penalty. Was it, or was it not a 3-second time penalty?
Yeah, it definitely was. Just was my own fault, unfortunately. I was pushing the tires a little bit too hot and then went a little wide, just 1 millimeter, but you know, these things happen. And then picked up 3 seconds, so yeah, it was my own fault.
Because we saw, well, we were riding on board with you at the time, and me and Charlie both agreed that we didn't think it was a 3-second penalty, and we were literally arguing the case where you would obviously get that report into the stewards and try and get that 3-second penalty removed. But if you think it's a 3-second penalty, I trust the driver's judgment more than my own judgment, I think, and all of that. But talk us through your race, because you really went hard in terms of the tyres and in terms of the battling with Jensen. Was it your intention to try and set your stall out like that?
Well, actually, I needed to push a little harder than Jensen needed, I think so, because I didn't have the pace in race again. I don't know what it is with me in race pace, these last races. So I needed to push a little harder, and yeah, at the end I was looking at the tires just because I didn't want to see it, and they end up on 81%.
81%, and to consider that Jensen's was on 67, 68%, you went really hard on those tyres.
Yeah, yeah, I know, but like I wanted to get a 3-second gap to him, so I should maybe win, but yeah, that didn't happen. I screwed up my push away lap, and yeah, that's what happened actually.
I still think, though, you drove a really, really good race, and I think that battle between you and Jensen was something to behold, because constantly you were going side-by-side down the straight, you were going to try and go side-by-side down in towards turn 4. It was really good to watch, and I think, well, I said it certainly in commentary, it was one of the more tactical races I think we've experienced in FRL this season. And for you, was it like that, from a driver's perspective?
Yeah, it definitely was, because I saw Jona pushing behind me. He drove absolutely great race too, I must say. Happy to have double podium with Red Bull. But I saw Jona pushing behind me, and it was gaining and gaining. So yeah, we needed to play it tactical, or otherwise we would lose the win.
Yeah, definitely so. But still, honestly, phenomenal race, I think, from your perspective. I'm going to cut across to Charlie. Any questions?
I have two things of the standings and one question, and sadly it is good news and bad news. What do you want to hear first?
Let's talk about the bad news then.
You are sadly out of the championship fight.
Yeah. Oh, seriously? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Next season, I promise.
Hopefully, because I'm hoping this next season it will happen. It will happen. But the good news is that you're actually tied with AlphaTauri on 306 points for second place in the constructors.
Go!
I hear someone very happy.
Yeah, so you're tied with 306 points with AlphaTauri now after that race. And how do you feel going into Brazil next week?
If we keep on going like this, we will definitely get that P2 in Constructors Championship. And for myself, Brazil, quite okay track. So hopefully I will be in the podium again, and I will try to work on my race pace too.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating, I think, for Brazil, of course. If you and Jensen are going at it once again, we could see Verstappen versus Hamilton, maybe version 2 here on FRL F1 next week. But go and enjoy your evening, Lou.
Thanks for commentating.
You are very welcome indeed. We'll now move on, of course, to the man who finished in P3 in the end. It was Jona. And Jona, you drove absolutely brilliant. We were in two minds, honestly, at the end of that race. You were, I think, about a second behind, going, obviously, through the final corner. Were you always going to try and catch that gap to Lou and Jensen?
Oh, definitely. I was, in my mind, I was thinking, well, they must get punctures or something, right? I was asking some guy how many laps are they on the tires, and I was thinking, they should have a lot of wear. Hey, they must get punctures. I was honestly thinking that because my tire was also pretty high. I was on 50% at the end of the race on my left front tire. And I pitted during the VSC, so absolutely stunned by their performance to get those tires to the end. So GG's on that. But yeah, I was pushing. I could afford to push every lap, of course. So I think at one point just about 1 second a lap quicker. And at the start, when I came out of the pits with the VSC, I was 13 seconds behind. And I gained that 30 seconds in what was it? Just
about 16 laps, I would say.
15 laps, yeah, something like that. Unfortunately, at the end, Henry felt the need to get past, but it wasn't like he spun me or something like that, so that was okay. I think.
Yeah, it was still.
Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, it's still okay, I think, because obviously you and Henry were battling towards the end of that race as well, and it was quite a fair battle between you both as well.
Yeah, he kept it. He kept the car aside on the inside at turn. What is it? Turn 3, turn 4.
Yep.
After the DRS, he put it on the inside. I didn't feel like defending because of the penalties he had. Inside for the next corner for me, he kept it on the outside. Same for the double apex corner, and after that he had the inside, and I just had to concede. And that was it.
Yeah, you considered the
so
position.
It was fair, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to
say. I was
say.
just annoyed because of the penalties. It's just a little thing.
Yeah, I think that still though, a P3 result for you was a pretty solid result, given of course how much ground you had to make up in the second half of that stint. And it obviously was fantastic to watch because I was always in two minds. Were you going to catch them? Were you not? It was quite exciting in terms of the tactical nature of how it turned out to be, which was brilliant,
Yeah.
and I think it kept everyone on their seat.
I think if it was 1 or 2 laps more, or the VSC came 1 or 2 laps earlier, I think we would have seen some overtaking then at the end.
It's only 36 laps though, it's not 38 laps.
I know. I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know. We will never know indeed. Charlie, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
How do you feel going into Brazil next week? As you've been having consistent podiums for the last 4 races. You've got podiums in the redo of France, of course. You got second, then you got Russia, Singapore, and Japan. You got 3rd place as well. You've been getting very good results, I will say. You did get unlucky with you did get unlucky in the USA without having the podium, but you got the podium again today, so that was good. But how do you think Brazil will go next week?
Well, still no win, eh? So must be.
You will win a race at some point.
I hope so. I think Brazil would be. We'll see. I feel pretty strong going into Brazil, actually. I absolutely don't think I'll bottle it or anything like that. I think we'll see the same as today. I'll be at the front.
If you show the same form as what you were doing in TTML F2 in the past couple of weeks, I have no doubt that you're going to be on the podium and maybe even win next week as well. So go and enjoy evening on that note, Yona.
But of course, the biggest difference is the grid, of course. We don't have I don't have Jensen in F2 and TTML. He's in F1 for a good reason, of course. But no, it's I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be fantastic. But go and enjoy evening, Yona.
Yeah, thanks you too, both of you, and cheers for the comms as always.
Very welcome indeed. And now we'll move on to the man who finished all the way down in 9th position, but for the first time, I think, since Charlie got inaugurated as an F1 commentator, you've actually picked up points when Charlie's been commentating. It is T-Hawk, of course.
Thanks, James.
Well, he did promise me podium, so...
Yeah.
I had to try and pick up something in terms of that, but T-Hawk, talk us through your race, because you had quite a few interesting battles up and down the field.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't expect too much from the race, obviously still trying to recover from my injury and all that, so I think the biggest goal for me today was just to make it further than I did last week and actually finish the race. But yeah, pace-wise in the race I was surprised that I wasn't too far off from the others in the first couple of laps. Managed to get no penalties at the beginning, so I was really confident that if I can just, stick it within the track limits and keep up some constant pace, that I could get some good points. But after like 15 or 20 laps, I really started to feel my injury on my foot again, and that's where I just dropped off in consistency and pace. I got penalties, I got that spin with the front wing damage. But still, up until that point, I was really enjoying myself, was really enjoying the car, was obviously enjoying the battles that I had with the likes of Henry and Blackbox and I think Zabo as well. So, yeah, those kind of small positives gave me some confidence that maybe I haven't quite lost all my pace yet.
Yeah, I think it's just baby steps. Obviously, if you're still recovering from an injury as well, it's just baby steps, I think, in terms of trying to recover from that injury and then trying to take it, I think, race by race, on a race-by-race basis, and then just take it from there. But obviously, picking up P9, were you actually expecting points coming into tonight?
I mean, given that we only had, 14 guys, I knew that there's a good chance for me to get points. Especially after I saw qualifying that with my relatively bad lap, I was still in the top 10. And of course, early on, seeing all those guys gain some penalties, I did expect some good points. I think result-wise, P9 is still a bit disappointing, because I knew there could have been a bit more just without that spin or without those penalties. I probably could have been in the top 6 or something like that. But as you said, it's just baby steps, one race by another, just improving one area after another. So I guess P9 is still good enough.
Yeah, I guarantee it, honestly, if you're on the pace next week in Brazil, and you're roughly around the same area where you're at this week in terms of your development back from your injury, you'll see the progression going towards the end of the season. Hopefully it'll get better, obviously, towards the end of the season as it goes on. Charlie, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
Of course, it's been ever since Russia since Ferrari actually scored points. So it's been a while since they've scored points. You finally got them points, which of course helps them in constructors. Hopefully they get out of last place at some point after the end of the season. But
Okay,
if you are in
nice.
Brazil, of course, next week, which I'm hoping that you are, how do you feel going to there?
I mean, I'm pretty confident that I'll be in Brazil because I've been put as a full-time Ferrari driver now until the end of the season. Unfortunately, by the time, or when I chose Ferrari, I didn't know that they were at the bottom of the constructors, so that's a bit disappointing. But yeah, Brazil, I hope that it's going to be good. I quite like the track. I love that infield section with the big wide curbs and the slow corners going from left, right. So I really like the track. If I can get a good setup there, I'm confident that I will be able to have a better race than today. Obviously, I'm gonna keep training my foot to make sure that I'm, fully or hopefully closer to being fully recovered by the time we race there. So yeah, I think like a top 6 finish should definitely be possible if everything goes well.
Yeah, definitely so, and obviously, hopefully we might get a bigger attendance than what we did this week in Mexico, but I will say, go and enjoy evening, T-Hawk.
Thanks, you too.
You're very welcome indeed, and that, I think, marks the end of tonight's live stream here for FRL F1. If you did, of course, like the stream, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you are brand new to the FRL channel, and I'm going to give the floor to Charlie. Your overall driver of the day is...
Lou.
You changed your mind, didn't you?
I told you I wanted Lou's driver of the day.
We'll have to give it to Lou then. If you're agreeing with Lou, I'll agree with Lou as well. Why not? Lou will get driver of the day instead of Jensen, even though we promised Jensen he's getting driver of the day. Can we not have them both as driver of the day?
I don't think we can, but I think I've won driver of the day this week already, to be honest, I think.
You probably have, and I'm certainly going to vote for you.
If I don't win it, I don't know what will make me win it.
Everyone, rig the vote so Charlie doesn't win it. Simple.
If I don't win, the whole thing's rigged because I've done everything to get that.
No, he definitely deserves that. If you watched FRL F3 last night, he did a last to first, and probably one of the best last to first I think I've seen around Mexico, and probably ever within FRL, to be honest, with me being back here throughout the whole season. But that ends us off, of course, tonight for FRL F1. As Charlie has already alluded to, we're going to Brazil next week at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pacha Interlagos, otherwise known as Interlagos, of course, to you and me, and hopefully we're going to get a very good race around there as well. And if not, this turned into a more tactical race, can I say it, that I think it's going to be race of the season next week?
I mean, hopefully it rains. If it rains, it'll be a lot more interesting.
Oh, if it rains, the drivers are going to struggle, and it's going to become an absolute war of attrition like we saw, obviously, in the dry tonight in Mexico. So I think, honestly, Interlagos, tune in next week, of course, FRL F3 and F4 on Monday at 7 PM UK time. At Tuesday, of course, 7 PM UK time, there's FRL F1 and F2. And if you're not doing anything tomorrow, I'm just going to throw a little bit of self-promotion out for myself here.
No.
Tomorrow night, 7:30 UK time, it is the EML Challenge Cup Grand Final event. Some guys, like Kazizel, I think, is competing there for Team Chazoo. 10 teams going at it. 3 races, Bahrain, Austria, and Britain. In no particular order, I've just said that. And that is from 7:30 UK time if you do want to tune in for that, or you can go and tune into Charlie's race instead.
Watch F3, it's better.
Or watch F3. Or just watch F1 back. Or watch any FRL or F1 race back. Anyway.
Or watch TTML this week.
Or watch TTML this week, yeah. Yeah. But we've done a lot of self-promotion.
A lot of self-advertising this stream.
They may as well just create a new stream for us just to do self-advertisement on, I think.
Yeah,
anyway, so that one viewer that is still tuning in, by the way, thank you so much for watching. And for myself and Charlie... Yeah, and for myself and Charlie, we will bid you farewell. So thank you so much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.